And welcome back. Our first conversation this morning is with representatives from the Belize Port Authority. They are here to speak with us about boating safety. And of course, we're heading into the Easter holidays, as we mentioned earlier. This morning, we're joined by the Operations and Safety Manager, Michael Jenkins. Good morning.
Good morning.
We're also joined by Kaylon Young. He's a Technical Manager at the BPA. Good morning.
Good
Kaylon.
morning,
Good morning,
gentlemen.
gentlemen. Good morning. Boat safety. Everybody who's not traveling inland this season is heading to sea. And they're doing so either by public transportation or they're doing so in private vessels, correct? Okay. Where do we begin from in terms of perhaps the do's and don'ts of boating safety?
Well, I'm sure everybody is eagerly anticipating the Easter weekend.
Absolutely.
And all the fun and joy that the waters and that brings with Easter vacation. And I think we just have to be more mindful that it's not only joy and fun, but we have to take an inherent approach to safety and the risk of what we venture into doing at sea. So first of all, it's a mindset that we keep safety first for ourselves and our family and friends as we do whatever sporting, leisure activities at sea.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we get the daily weather update from the folks at the National Meteorological Services, and a key part of that are marine conditions. How important is knowing the marine conditions as it relates to boat safety?
Definitely, firstly, before venturing out in your boat, is to check your weather. Make sure that the weather condition is favorable, especially if you're venturing outside of the reef. So definitely checking the weather forecast, making a sail plan, making sure that someone knows where you're going in the event that time elapses and nobody hears from you, that there's some idea of where you have gone.
Yeah.
So definitely, surely, that firstly you must check the weather forecast.
What about communications though? Because as you've mentioned, while you may have a plan in terms of where you're headed, if you don't have proper comms in terms of being able to report back to your loved ones or back to base, if that were the case, then you're still pretty much out there at the mercy of the world.
Yeah, that's true. One of the things that we implement when we ensure vessel safety, first and foremost, is some means of communication, either VHF radio, cell phone, or somewhere you can communicate with back home, communicate with our office. We have a 24/7 communication center. They can always be communicated via VHF radio on channel 16, or we also have 966 hotline. So if there's any incident or accident at sea, you can always communicate to us. We will reach out to the Coast Guard, and we can be sure to assist in an incident.
As technical manager, Mr. Young, what is your primary role, or what do you oversee over at the Port Authority?
All right, so I have a big department. The guys who do the safety inspections of these vessels to ensure that they're seaworthy. I oversee these guys. I also oversee our casualty investigators if there's an incident or accident at sea.
Yeah.
We have to do safety investigations on these vessels. Well, my department does that as well. And we have our inspectors that would inspect bigger vessels, ships, cargo ships, cruise ships, just to ensure that they're safe within our waters and that we don't have any incidents in our waters. And also we have 4 district offices. They're also on the technical department as well.
When you look at the idea of persons who will be seagoing this weekend, for instance, right? What are some of the basic checks that need to be made? I know you have too many boats that are going out to sea, so you can't really capture everybody, but from certain points of departure, for instance, like if you're catching a water taxi or you're leaving from a designated area, what are you guys looking for in terms of what each vessel must have, or in terms of the procedures that should be employed by persons boarding these vessels?
All right, well, it all starts from your annual inspection. Prior to getting your license for the year, we ensure that you have all your safety equipment, your life jackets, your fire extinguisher, a first aid kit, the proper markings on the vessels. So we ensure that those things are issued before, we have those before we issue a seaworthiness. Now, on days like this, normal during the week we'd have people at the water taxis. Mr. Jenkins' officers would be able to ensure that the boats at the water taxis have these equipments on hand, on board, they're valid, they're good. The captains have proper seaworthiness, have proper captain license. The vessels have proper seaworthiness certificates. So we want to make sure that everyone who uses these vessels are safe, and we try to prevent any issues as much as possible. So we have persons actively ensuring that they're safe at sea.
And the key things that you would look for on the vessel to ensure that it's water safe would be what?
Well, our main priority is safety of life and environment, and then property. So first of all is to make sure that the vessel is well equipped with life jackets, proper fire extinguishers. Yes, the vessel must have communication, especially if it's a water taxi, because out at sea, if something happens, it's hard to get help. And also, I must say that we are working closely with the communication companies to increase their coverage at sea, because that is one of the areas that we find challenging when it comes to the fisher folks and even just people going out for leisurely activities. So we're working closely with the communication companies to increase that service. But yes, we do make sure that the vessel is well equipped to make sure that passengers are safe.
You know, I'm here thinking about the Easter rush, where persons are eager to get to the quays or anywhere that really has bodies of water. And I can remember clearly jumping on one of the boats and seeing the crowds that would come that want to get that particular time ticket. How important is it to not overcrowd these boats when you're on your way to your destination?
Yes, vessels does operate on stability. And so overcrowding, not placing cargo in the right place, not having them secured because the boat is moving and things move. And so once cargo shifts, it can create an unbalance to the vessel and create a problem. So definitely overcrowding, proper storage of goods and cargo is important. So that is one of our main issues that we address as officers on the ground, that we make sure that the capacity of the vessel is not exceeded.
I want to get into perhaps the coordination between the Port Authority and the Coast Guard when it comes to either enforcement or any other operations at sea that look at the well-being of seagoers.
Well, the Belize Port Authority and the Belize Coast Guard, our relationship is, we have a very professional relationship. We work very well together. We do many joint patrols together. Even during this Easter, we'll be working together as well. The communication between the Belize Port Authority and the Coast Guard is very efficient. As it relates to any operations we need to go on, or any incident at sea that we need proper information. We have a lot of the vessel information are with the Port Authority, and Coast Guard does a lot of the enforcement. So we must communicate with each other to ensure that the waters are kept safe, and we do these safety patrols jointly.
As it stands, you pointed out one of the issues when it comes to overcrowding of these vessels. Are there any other issues that you've observed when it comes to boating safety that the Belize Port Authority has to crack down and ensure that persons follow?
Yes, especially around this time. It's just the overall behavior of passengers, drinking on the vessels. So definitely alcohol consumption, we try to mitigate that scenario.
Should you not drink on a vessel, or you should not, it's not recommended?
You should not drink on a passenger commercial vessel. So on a water taxi, alcohol consumption is prohibited. And
Same
so
as if you're on a bus or any other
exactly,
form of public transportation.
public transportation, it is prohibited.
So that's one of them. Are there any others that the Belize Port Authority has to crack down on?
In my view, what I would say is not so much as crackdown, but it's more as to educate the boaters. Especially in these times, you have a lot of people swimming in the water, and you have a lot of boats around. So let's be vigilant, be on the lookout for people who are swimming, who are diving, just so we can both use the waters safely. Who wants to swim can swim safely, and who wants to boat can boat safely. But we need to be vigilant and respectful of each other and the use of the waters.
What's the distance that you'd say a person should be away from a boat when it comes to being in the water?
From shoreline, the regulation states 100 feet is what we consider the no-wake zone for a vessel. So anything from the shoreline, the riverside, 100 feet out, a vessel should navigate in a very safe and cautious way, being vigilant, looking out for swimmers and users of the waters. Also, so 100 feet is the recommended distance that a swimmer should utilize. After passing that distance, which is it's kind of hard because there's not a measuring stick in the water to say, well, I'm at this 100 feet. So it's being aware of where you are and the surroundings, and know that it's a public space, it's a multi-use space. So you have to be aware that there are other users and just stay within that safe swimming area. And I also request that owners of piers maybe put out more information to their patrons and informing them what is safe and just making them more aware of what is happening at that location they are in.
Yeah.
How do you guys, how do I say this? Perhaps, one, remain vigilant, and two, be able to respond to any incident at sea at this time of year? Because I'm thinking you have a time where not too many people are heading out to the Keys and stuff, but then you have times like Easter and other times like for the Lobster Fest and so on and so forth, where people are flocking to the islands by the thousands. How do you guys remain on top of all of that?
Well, this is not our first rodeo, so we ensure that we have proper planning beforehand. Proper coordination, proper planning, proper enforcement, people at strategic locations, patrols, safety patrols at strategic locations, just to ensure that we don't get sidetracked or bombarded by these activities. Experience has taught us a lot, and so we know how to react to these situations, who to contact, how to communicate. So it just takes proper planning and communication.
We spoke about the Belize Coast Guard being one of the primary partners with the Belize Port Authority. Are there any other partners that you work alongside to ensure that there is safety on the waters?
Yes, we work along with the tourism police and the different councils, so the town council of San Pedro and the council in Kikaka and Placencia. Those are the main areas where the Belizeans will go and spend their Easter vacation. So those are the concentrated areas.
So, I mean, I think it goes without saying that this is the busy season for your workers, ensuring that there's public safety across the board on the waterways. What's your primary message to our viewers who might be deciding that they want to head out to the Keys this Easter weekend?
For me, I would just say, go out and have fun. I know that Belize Port Authority, we're working hard to ensure that you're safe on the waters, but we also need the users to play their part and also ensure that people are safe as well. We do as much as we can, but we need the assistance from the public as well.
And the way that the public can assist is by adhering to the rules and regulations. For instance, no public drinking on these vessels. Of course, maybe doing their own checks, ensuring that there's a life jacket on that vessel for them. And of course, just trying to be as adhering as possible, not overcrowding these vessels. I think I want to go back to the overcrowding of vessels, because that's something that I think I've observed in my couple times that I've been on these vessels. You know, everyone, they want to get on the boat. They want to get on that 10 o'clock boat to the Keys, to be there early, to get as much time on the waters as they possibly can. Is this something that you've observed from these commercial businesses, where they try to fill as many persons as possible on the boats?
Yes, definitely. They would try to maximize their space, and that is why we have to be there to make sure that children and adults are separated correctly, and that everyone has a seat. A child, yes, they might be a toddler that it requires to be held in their hand, but that toddler also is required to have a seat, a space. So it's not because you hold that child in your hand, a space should be there available. So it is to make sure things like that are upheld by the water taxi operators.
And are there individuals that would be on water patrolling to ensure that there are life jackets on these vessels for persons that are commuting?
Yes, we will have patrols out, and also for the public to be aware that on these water taxis should have all the contact information for the response, for the emergency response, the police, port authority, the BDF, the tourism police, so and the tourism board. So if there's any issue that they would see that the numbers, the contact numbers should be in the water taxi, that they can immediately call and report a situation that we can deal with it right away.
I think in the past, I'm not sure if this is something that is standard for the Port Authority, but in the past, you guys, and I'm not sure, again, I'm just prefacing what I'm about to ask, I'm not sure if it's within your respective roles or responsibilities there, but in the past, the Port Authority has issued releases regarding persons who can operate perhaps at a commercial level, because you do have people who are taking out excursions, who are doing all of these other things, but they may not necessarily be licensed in a way where they're allowed to be able to do that. How do you guys remain on top of that as well? It's Easter time, everybody to carry people to Key Carker, but not everybody perhaps has a license for that kind of activity.
Well, I can say, like, for the water taxi, and this goes back to your question about capacity as well. We have officers stationed at the water taxi terminals to ensure that the vessels that they're using are licensed, the person operating the vessels are licensed, and to actually count the amount of people going on board these vessels.
Right.
So those at water taxi, we have that being done. Our patrols that are out, they would look at what's happening. They will stop the vessels to ensure that these masters have valid captain license, the boats are licensed, and that they have all safety equipment. That's their job when they go on patrols, to ensure that everyone who's operating is operating in a safe manner. It's also incumbent on the users as well, the public, to also inquire from these masters if they have valid captain license, because we can't stop everyone out there, but the users can do their part and just inquire that if people have valid captain license and the boat is licensed, and ask for your safety equipment, your life jackets if necessary. But we try to ensure that everyone that is operating that vessel has a valid captain license. If you don't have one, then that's an offense, and you would be charged by the Port Authority.
And with persons being on the waters patrolling, I think it would also be ideal for these individuals to stop maybe a private vessel that's currently traveling and asking them for their documents, should they have that with them on hand when they're on that vessel?
Yes. The Port Authority does have, we control the waterways. We are like the policemen of the sea. So commercial, private vessels, cargo vessels, the tugboats that carry the goods to the island, we have a responsibility to make sure that all these vessels are operating in a safe manner. The captains are given a license based on their years of experience, and they have a graded system. So basically, not one captain license is allowed to traverse all over the waterways.
Yeah.
It's basically
Yeah.
allocated to a certain area. So within the reef, that is for a certain grade. Outside of the reef is another grade. So there's a graded system for the captains to operate in our waterways.
Well, gentlemen, what's your final words as it relates to boat safety? What's your message to our viewers this Easter holiday as well?
Yeah, I would just say, just to be safe on the waters, ensure the safety of not just yourself, but everyone else around you. Just try to ensure that we have our safety equipment on board. And if you have any issues that you might see or you want to report, note that the Belize Port Authority has a 24/7 communications center that can be contacted at 966, and that's toll free. So you can always pick up and dial that, and then we will then react from there. But yeah, just to be safe, ensure that we care for each other as much as we care for ourselves, care for our family, and to just be safe on the waters.
Yeah. Mr. Jenkins?
Yes, I think go out and have fun, be aware, be conscious, be courteous in while we do. Remember that it's a multi-use area, so be safe, please.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, so much for stopping by and reminding us about boat safety. All right, we're going to take a break, and then from boat safety to road safety. When we come back, we'll be talking to our friends from Caribbean Tires on how to make sure your cars are in check. Stay with us. We'll be right back.